Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's 176, and it starts off like usual with a hitch.
as usual. Yeah, it was like for you guys out there, we're getting started a little bit late because I came in from a meeting that just went long, and it's sometimes hard to shift gears, and I forgot to push a button. And so I was hearing the music, but no one else was. So it was another brilliant start to the show.
Yeah, well, anyway, if you're just tuning in, I'm Mike Mylan. That is Blaine Birch. This is episode 176 of Mike and Blaine, Business, Beer, and BS. And we have plenty of that to go around. We got business, we got beer, we got BS, we got all of that going. And I tell you what, nothing starts this off better, especially with a hitch, than knowing what you're drinking, what you got going.
Okay, so I went into my fridge and I was looking for something that really matched our theme today, and found nothing that matched our theme. So I just went and picked this one because it was not like a 10%er. And it's this IPA from Phase 3 out of Illinois called Geo.
Super cool.
And it's got a really cool can. And I got to say, the first few sips of this is a really nice beer. I've had some stuff from Phase 3 before that I've liked. And so when I saw it on the shelf, I picked it up hoping, and it's really good. But look at this Art Deco. This is gorgeous. I love that can. It's beautiful. So anyway, what do you got going?
Well, I got to tell you what, mine kind of matches the theme, right? And it just, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to pigeonhole it in there a little bit.
All right. Yeah, well, that's what I do every week. So,
all right. So the theme this week is all about how things sometimes look harder, or you think it's more difficult than it actually is. Mm-hmm. And the reason why this came up, right? Remember, I always come up with a theme or the topic like minutes before this happens. And I had a conversation with one of my developers where I actually hurt his feelings. And I've done that a couple of different times, and I didn't realize it, where I make things out to be harder than they really are. He goes, yeah, that's fucking easy, dude. But I'm trying to get him help. I'm thinking it's harder than it is, or takes longer than it should. And I was wrong. So I'm calling either him or me the sour monkey.
Oh, show the can. Move it over. I got to see the can.
All right. So the can is cool, right? It's out of Victory Brewing, is out of Pennsylvania. And I think it focuses on it. There you go.
There we go.
But it's a 9.5% sour, right? So who knows what this is going to be like at the end of it. But it's kind of a cool can. What's the name of the town? Is Downington? I think it's Downington, Pennsylvania is where they're from.
Our history, anytime we get near 10 plus, it starts to go off the trolley tracks a little by the end. I'm at 5.5, so I'm good. I can carry it at the end if we have to.
Yeah. Well, because you were late, I opened this one up. So I'm waiting.
It'll be right away today. So anyway, if you guys haven't watched before, we've got some highly valued beer sponsors. And okay, if you want to be a beer sponsor, let's tell you a few things here. I know it's annoying, but please follow, like, subscribe, but also go to Mike and Blaine. And if you buy us a beer for $5, and usually people buy multiple weeks, of course, you can be a sponsor. And when you're a sponsor of the show or a beer sponsor, you'll never find anything for more value for $5, because we are going to now tell you about our beer sponsors. And I'm going to start with Rachel Barnett from Gentle Frog. She is a beer sponsor all the way through to the end of 2025. She will show you, if you own a business and you need to know how to use QuickBooks, go and check her out at gentlefrog.com, but also check out on YouTube at Gentle Frog. She's got a jillion videos on there, and you can learn so much just from those. Thanks so much, Rachel.
Hey, and another annual sponsor. I'm gonna call them annuals now, or something like that. Maybe we should come up with a name for those folks that just subscribe all year, right? So,
yeah, Diamond.
Karen Hairston Yeah, diamond and whatever. But these are folks that say, "Hey, 52 weeks, $5, I'm just doing it."
Nice.
But
Yep.
Karen Hairston of 3S Smart Consulting, if you want any type of cash flow consulting, and I tell you what, I will vouch for her. She is a certified cash flow professional underneath my program, the Clear Path to Cash Professional program. And she does a fantastic job at not just cash flow. I'll tell you what, I found a hidden skill that she has that not many people have. It's called process diagramming, right? Where she can listen to what's happening in your business, diagram it out so everybody can understand what's happening from right to left, up to down, whatever it means. And I'm telling you, she can bring clarity to your business like nobody else. So Karen Hairston, 3ssmartconsulting.com is where you go.
And as always, I'm going to thank neighbor Pat for you, which is, I know your neighbor, but neighbor Pat, he's even been, a few little snapshots of him on the show. He brings you beer all the time. And I'm always pulling for neighbor Pat in your, when you guys play bags. So I'm always rooting for you, Pat. So I'm going to thank you for the beer.
I think he's dodging me because we haven't played in a long time. So
maybe he's practicing.
He's definitely not dodging. Yeah, I don't know if you've checked the weather, but the weather in Texas has been crazy. I don't even like to open the door. The dog, which normally just wants to be outside all the time, I open the door, it feels the cold and goes, "Nah, not today." So I got to force the dog out right now. So it's that cold. But neighbor Pat is inches away, if not minutes, if not hours from his pool, his spa, his backyard oasis that I'm going to tell you, he did a fantastic job, right? His backyard looks fantastic. It's going to be one of those places where you would want to spend time. So nice job, Pat.
Nice. Got to send some pictures, Pat. I want to see it. I'll let you take up our next one and I'll finish her up.
I think the next one is Devin.
Devin, yeah.
Okay. It's like, I think it's Devin. But yeah, hey, I'm going to tell you what. Devin is somebody who I met through Courtney, and he has got the strongest connection to LSU I've ever seen. And I went out to Louisiana. I went to the LSU-Alabama game. We spent some time with Devin, drank some beer with Devin. This is an all-around good guy that not only loves his school, loves the state of Louisiana and everything about it. So if you're in Louisiana and you're in the college, I mean, he does college bookstores, right? So he does college bookstores for Barnes & Noble Education. So he is somebody that is committed to that community. So thanks, Devin, for your support of the show. And, I'll root on LSU as long as they're not playing Baylor. Which we got beat by LSU, right?
Oh, okay. Was unaware of that.
Yeah, we got beat.
And okay, so I'm just going to cover our last one here, Fresh Victor, and I'm going to show this Fresh Victor. Now, these guys sent me like a bunch of these. I think it was 9 or 12 or something of the all different flavors of this Fresh Victor. These are cocktail mixes. They're fresh. They're like there's no weird stuff in here. This is like absolute all fresh ingredients. They taste delicious. And this is the Mexican lime and agave, which of course can make a really good margarita. But we had one last night that was pomegranate cactus. Ridiculous. It was so good. So go check those guys out. They're a great thing to have in your fridge. You got friends over, you just mix them in like seconds and you can have some of the best drinks you've ever had in at your party instead of someone else's. So thanks again, guys. All
right, so hey, let's get to it, right? Because this is really starting. It's one of those things that's been kind of on my mind lately. Is difficulty just an illusion? Is it just something that only exists in you? I know it's deep. You're like going, dude, that's freaking deep for this show, but I'm starting to think maybe it is, because here's the story of how this came out. When you think of AI, it seems hard. It seems like maybe not to use, but if you're like going, I'm going to build an app, and I wanted to do AI this, that, or the other, I was under the impression that, oh my God, that's like massive undertaking. That's a complete shift in thinking. That's, I mean, we have to redesign everything. I thought the world was going to collapse. I put like a time frame of 6 months to a year to put it in my app. You know, the estimates I got back? 5 to 15 days. I'm like, what? What did I miss there? What, I mean, what did I miss?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I think it's the philosophy that we took with dry run, and we've been experimenting with it. We won't roll it out till we're really comfortable with it, but we've been experimenting with it, and it's all about, you know, offering value and all that kind of stuff. But from the part of where it's hard and where it's easy, our philosophy was we looked at it a bit like our Shopify. I'm going to say like that was kind of our example that we used. Because back in my agency days, there were times where we would be, you know, I remember writing up quotes for websites and we would have an e-commerce component to it. And the e-commerce component could be $30,000, $40,000 to build. And then it has to be maintained. And that was also costly. And Shopify now is like $20. And you can probably, there's probably some versions, some services out there that are literally free, right? And what we looked at is, if you are doing AI for a very specific reason, there's times you have to do this. Like, I totally get that. But if you're building it yourself, you're taking the bullet. And our idea was, because even a number of years ago, we were seeing that it was already becoming a bit of a commodity with like Microsoft and that it'll get to the point where all we're doing is plugging into someone else's engine. They've already done all the heavy lifting. And so now you can plug into things, and there's things you can do in a half an hour and plug in. Like, it is ridiculous, because it's the AI, the hard part's there. You're just kind of plugging into it. So some things are much easier to harness than you would think, but is it accurate? And you know, that's the other side of it. Or it's really good at bullshit though too, right? So,
well, yeah, I mean, trust is one thing, but the implementation is something that I thought would be harder. Now, here's where I should have been. No, it can't be that hard. I had students at the university that were building apps, and they would have an up and running in a month and a half. And I'm like, going, yeah, it's not a great app, because college students yet don't understand UX UI. It's like, that doesn't flow, right? but at the same time, they had the guts there. I'm like, how did they get it there that fast? Now, in my mind, AI didn't exist when I started building software. So it was like, we have to build this. But it's so advanced now that you can leverage somebody else's engine.
Yeah.
But you have to train it and tune it and do those type of things. So even though you can have it built and installed, it may still take, you know, months before you feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. And, you know, and that's just from like an AI perspective. I think from a overall perspective of difficulty, man, there are some things that are incredibly difficult and some things that are actually way easier than you'd think. You have to just dig in before you jump on any of those and try and find out. And this happens to us on, I'm sure, a monthly basis, where I go to my co-founder, our CTO, and, you know, we're talking about our roadmap, and we've got all this documentation. We're figuring all this. So what's next? Okay. What's priority? What are we going to do? What did blah, blah, blah. And there are times where there are things, because I know just enough to be dangerous, right? Like, I kind of understand how stuff works. I can't write the code, but I kind of understand a little bit of it. And there are times where I think something's going to be a simple ad, and you can see like, he's like, it's almost, you know, steam coming off the top of his head. He's like, no, that's not, you know, and then I ask him why, and then he starts explaining, and I'm like, holy crap, that is an incredible lift. And it is way more complex than I thought. And then there's other times where I'm like, I think this is going to be hard. And then a half an hour later, it's like, hey, look what I just added. I'm like, what the hell? So, it's not that everything is easier. Some stuff is way harder than you think. You got to do your due diligence right off the bat before you make a decision and try and really find out. Right.
Yeah. And exactly from customers, it's their perspective as well, right? People come to me all the time and go, oh, well, you should be able to do this. If you have this data, you can just do this. And they think in their minds, Excel, they don't understand how Excel works behind the scenes, right? Yep. What has to happen behind the scenes so you have the easiest input-output experience on the front end, right?
And they think what they do in Excel is programming. It's like, no, you're telling it's got a whole thing in the background doing this stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't happen by accident. Like,
yeah. So my common answer now is, yeah, it's magic. Yeah, of course we could do that. And software can do anything.
What I will say that every once in a while, and this happened to us just recently, every once in a while we'll get a little suggestion. And it just sometimes they're just the easiest things to add. And they actually have a big impact. Like, people just love it. And it's like we had one we added literally just like it took I don't know what Tark took, not long. Like, I'm talking probably a half an hour or something to add, little change on something. And it gave a visualization that literally I'm getting compliments on, and people love it. And it's just, we just didn't know. We didn't register that it was important until the CFO came in and said, you know what would be really great? I have to deal with this every single day. And I'm like, oh shit, thanks for telling me. And it ended up being really straightforward. Right. And so but conversely, there are times where stuff seems like it's going to be simple and it's hard for it's like a yin and yang thing. Like, for everything that's easier than you think, there's going to be something harder than you think. And some of it's going to be incredibly hard, even though it looks like dead ass simple.
You're talking about that. I mean, in my app, right? The Clear Path to Cash, we've got industry averages built into the background. All you have to do is put in a NAICS code. And to me, I'm selling to accountants, bookkeepers, advisors. They're doing tax returns. The NAICS, NAICS code, North American Industry Classification System code, is right there. They just have it, but they don't. So they don't. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I got to go find this, or I got to go do that. So I put in just a link. Here's a way to find it. It was just a link to the government website where they could do their own search and find out their code and put it back into my product. That was more difficult than what they asked me to do is, well, can you just put the search in yours? And all we did was just add a search feature for our own database of just keyword or code. And it connected it. It was like it was the simplest thing, but everyone compliments us on that is the coolest thing ever. I'm like going, that's the least cool thing we do. The whole damn app is do a search for the industry average. That's the least cool thing.
What's funny is the customers sometimes just think so different, right? And you know what I think, because we always think sometimes if something was really hard for us to do, we think it's got a lot of value. Customer doesn't care how hard it was for us to do or how easy it was for us to do. So sometimes what they see value in is so different. Like, so the thing we added just recently, when you have overdue invoices and bills, we have there's a little calendar badge that shows the day it's due. And once it's overdue, we flag it, little red dot, it's overdue. And the guy is just one of the guys that, I need to know how many days, because when I go through and I got to pay them, I just want to know which ones are the furthest overdue at a glance. So we changed it with a red number on how many days overdue. And it's like magic. It is like, oh my God, that's awesome. And I'm like, it is awesome. Like, I get it. Just never occurred to us until a user pointed it out. But it wasn't that it's like, oh, that's cool. It's like, this is what I do every other week. We'll have a big, we're waiting on payment, and also we'll have a big payment come in. And then I got to go through and figure out who do I need to pay. And that's how I do it. And I'm like, that's because that is a big part of their job. That's a big part of what they're doing all the time. And we just made their life easier. And it just ended up being such a simple lift for us, right?
But to them is if they got to do that whole analysis, all of a sudden they got to get into a different system. They got to query this and query that, and I mean it's craziness. And to me, I'm like going, I should have realized this early on, because even when I was in the Army, I said, "Hey, it's results, not effort." Right? That's what that was my whole principle in life was. I just want the result. I don't care how hard it is to get or easy it is to get. I just want the result.
Yeah.
And the result is what makes me happy. Why are we not doing that with customers every time?
Yep. Yeah. It's and when you see people do things and they do it easy, like when it's so easy for them, it feels like it should be easy to do. Like we've all seen it. Like you watch it, like any sport, especially if you haven't done something, like if you watching a sport you've never done before, it's going to look super easy. If it's something you've actually done, you appreciate a little more because you've actually experienced, it's not as easy as it looks. Right. But it's kind of a trick there.
Well,
so Jeff wants to know, what are you drinking today? Jeff, you're late to the show. But we're going to show you anyway. So I got a Phase 3 Geo, by the way. So I'm just going to IPA here. So Jeff wants to
know. Welcome, Jeff. But when you talk about seeing somebody do something, have you ever seen somebody juggle? Like just juggle. Like that. Well, you can do it. I can't. But if I see you do it, I'm like going, shit, if Blaine can do it, it's one ball up. Yeah. I catch that ball and I throw another ball.
I haven't done this I probably haven't tried juggling in 20 years. So I don't even know if I can, but I've got a couple of plugs. I don't know what this is. It was a freebie at some event.
Okay, it looks like a ping pong ball.
Shoot, I don't know if I can do this.
Dude, if you do that, we're putting this on Facebook. Well, shit, I can do that.
Okay.
I can drop everything. I can drop everything on the ground.
Okay, apparently I can't juggle. Maybe balls would be easier. I used to be able to juggle, but apparently that's a skill that left me. It's when I said 20 years, actually, it's probably been 40 years since I juggled. Actually,
dude, that was worse than any rap I've ever done.
That was pretty bad. I expected to be better with my juggling. I used to be able to do that, but no, that didn't go well. So, but you know what? There's still a lesson to be learned there. So I was gonna take the chance and see if I could, I got to keep sticking to my knitting here and not try and pull that garbage.
Oh, nice. Now, something else that looks super easy and it's not. And I only know this because I grew up in the North, like you. I mean, you would know this as well. But when I'm down in Texas, I laugh every time, right? I've been down here for a long time, and every time I see it, I just laugh. People that can't walk on ice, right? The fall. I don't know if it's the fall, if it's a slip, if it's a slide. I don't know what it is. We're just walking, right? Because I grew up in Illinois. You grew up in, Canada.
Yeah.
You walk on ice. You walk on snow. You just kind of figure it out somehow. And I don't even know if it's a skill. It's an acquired just adaptation. There you go.
It's a learned skill. But if you walk on ice long enough, you're taking a tumble at some point and hopefully not breaking something, because as good as you get, you're never good enough to walk on ice or drive. Oh my, like there's driving on ice. Yeah. You get better at it, but it can be a challenge,
And I'm telling you, in Texas, when you see it, you know exactly who's never done it. You know exactly. You're like, oh, them. Okay. And it's funny to me. I don't know why it's funny. I shouldn't laugh at that, but I do.
Yeah, it's a good way to break a arm, ankle, leg. But anyway, I've definitely experienced too much of that. So,
well, I mean that kind of happens. So, let me ask you this: What is it that you have thought recently would be hard and it wasn't? Recently.
Okay, this is way off the. Do you know the cult song "She Sells Sanctuary"?
No, I don't know. Why would I know that? Unless I heard it, I guess. They're
No,
like,
but
I know that.
You've probably heard it. If you heard it, you would know
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
I just got this opening lick that they do, and it is super cool. And I just, I don't know. I heard it one day, and I'm like, that's a cool like lick. It's a ding 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 ding, you know. And so I thought, I want to learn how to play that, and I expected it to be so incredibly hard, and it actually wasn't that hard. It was a little tricky, but it wasn't that hard. And I got progress on it. Like within minutes, I'm like, well, I can kind of half-ass play this. And I just thought it'd be way harder. When I heard it, it sounds hard, but actually wasn't that hard to play. So I thought that was kind of something that sticks out in my mind.
Yeah. You know what's hard for you apparently is transitioning from Canadian English to American English because you're still making progress on things.
Maybe I'll make it through this winter and stick with my Canadiana and actually go home with.
That would be interesting.
Because I go home.
That would be interesting.
I literally get back to Canada and I've had people say I've got a drawl. Like, no, I don't. Like, but I get shit on both sides of the border here. I don't know. Maybe this will hang on for the whole winter. Usually it starts to transition, but it hasn't this year.
All right. So I built a 12-foot long, 9.5, 10-foot tall. We'll call it 10-foot tall because I had molding on it. Bookcase that was 2 different levels on the sides and then a bench in the middle. And it took me 3 months, but surprisingly was easier than I first thought. I'm like, oh shit, this is something that's going to take me years to figure out. What took the most time was staining, was sanding, was finishing, not building.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Where if I looked at the plan, I looked at what we were trying to do. I'm like, oh shit, this is going to take me like half a year. It didn't. I was done and installed in 3 months. Now that still seems like a long time, but I did have a job too. It's in the garage. It's like I'll go work on that tonight. You know.
Yeah.
One of the things I got was a garage heater because of this, because I couldn't get out, play golf. I couldn't get out and do yard work, nothing. So I was stuck in the garage. Get a garage heater, man, you could really crank out some work in the garage.
Yep. I had a garage heater the year and when it was COVID and we had to stay in Canada for that one winter. And I got a garage heater so I could mess around in the garage and I used it all the time. And so I actually killed it. It just actually died before spring. So it's, you need that stuff though.
All right. So I'm going to tell you what, I have had some of the best sleep this week. I don't know what it is. I thought it was the rain. I thought it was this, we had one day of snow. We've had some cold, but it's starting to get warmer. I'm like, why am I sleeping so well? Guess what? This thing, Magic Mind, take it. It has a calming effect. Go to sleep faster, sleep sounder. I mean, I'm not even waking up. It used to be sometimes if there was a big storm outside or a big wind or something happened, I was like, oh, bust awake. Not right now, dude. I'm getting some of the best sleep of my life just because of this one product, Magic Mind. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, and they do more than sleep, because there's the other one that can kind of bring you focus and help wake you up. And you know what? Magic Mind is a terrific sponsor of ours. And right now, if you go to the 24 pack of Focus and Sleep, this will give you like the sleep ones and the focus ones. They're bundled up for the first time and you can get it for 45% off. Just use the link below in our show notes and make 2025 the year you build your mental resilience, improve your sleep, and wake up with clarity, all with Magic Mind. So thanks again, Magic Mind. We always appreciate your support.
It really is. I mean, the samples you sent me, plus we're buying it now because I've got a I've got an 18-year-old still in my
Taking it.
so, but I really appreciate you. It's really changed the way that we look at every day. Right? There's focus during the day. There's good sleep at night. So great product. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Magic Mind. Appreciate it.
All right. So tell me now, what should be or shouldn't be harder than it looks? Like if you're looking forward, like 2025, let's go there with it. 2025, what's harder or what's not as hard as you think it's going to be?
Oh, well, see, that's the thing is, it's hard to predict what's easier than you think because that's all hindsight. It's all hindsight 2020, like what actually was easier than I thought. But what am I guess, what challenges do you have this year that you're worried about that you think are going to be really difficult?
You know what? I still have a lead generation problem, which seems like it's one of those things that should be easy to solve, right? Because I don't have a problem with somebody has exposure to my product. So when I think about it that way, I'm like, once you're in, you're like, oh, I'm in. I don't have big churn. I don't have people leaving. I don't have people quitting. What I got is, who's this guy? Or I've never heard of him, right? Or they haven't never heard of me, right? So lead generation to me is a big problem. And what's weird is that when you look across the internet trying to find somebody, I'm gonna call them charlatans.
Oh, yeah.
There's just so many people out there that says we can fill your inbox, we can book your calendar. No, they can't, right? They just can't, right? You have to do it yourself. You got to figure out your own message. And it seems like it would be easy. All I got to do is advertise, and people will come. That's not the way it works.
No, it's that is one of those things that looks easy and people act like it's easy, and it is incredibly difficult and even harder to do well. And when you look at it, it's because every single business on the planet needs to get customers, and you're all fighting for leads, but you're fighting for attention, and you're not just fighting with other businesses. You're not fighting with competitors. You're fighting for attention, and that attention is taken from everything under the sun. Like, why would someone skip like a phone call or an email or whatever? Well, because they're at their kid's soccer game. They're sitting at the bar with a friend. They're watching a TV show. They're like, you're competing for minutes. You're competing for attention with everything they're doing. So it's so easy for people to say it's just competing with the competitor across the street. No, it's much, much harder than that. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge at every business.
Yeah. I start thinking about, things that I do. If you think your first goal is to stop the scroll, right? Just stop the scroll. That's even hard to do because even if you stop the scroll, you got like 15 seconds. If that might be even generous. And then past the 15 seconds, whatever happens next, you might have another minute and a half. Care if it's clicking on your link, learn more, whatever it is, you got another minute and a half. So really you got less than 2 minutes to get somebody to pay attention to you or save you for later. Like it's interesting. I want to look more deeply into that. Yep. And that the more deeply I want to look into things is about 1% of the things I look at or less. Right?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, no, people's attention spans are I don't want to say it's like people have a short attention span. No, they're inundated. It's a fire hose of crap coming at them all the time. So they filter more than ever. And these, like you said, a lot of these sort of experts online, like the one philosophy I have for lead generation is I'll just say when everyone's zigging, I zag. Like I look at what everyone else is doing and going, you can't stand out that way. And I'll look like a fool if I fall into line with everybody else. And I like on our Slack channel earlier this week, my co-founder, I don't, he just popped it up, but I see exactly where it came from. He did a search in his inbox for the words quick question. And I think because he must have had a few in a row, because that's what, these experts online and coaches and also, you just use this quick question. And what he did is he did a quick search, and then he put a screenshot up of his inbox with all the quick question highlighted, and it just like, it was indefinite. It just went on to the bottom of the screen. And you just see how many people use the exact same trick. That's all it is. It's a stupid spammy trick. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because there's nothing real about it. Right. And that's what you're fighting against.
Well, and what happens to me is I'm apparently a sucker for clickbait. I'm like, yeah, that is my problem. I'll click on something, and then for the next 2 weeks, that's all I'm shown is more bullshit like that.
Okay.
I didn't like the first one. Huh?
This is where you and I are different, because I will see in like my news feed or YouTube or whatever. And if I see something that I just go like effing clickbait, and I literally spam them or disconnect or do whatever I can to get them out. I see that stuff and I just get so pissed off by it. So I don't
pissed off too, but I'll still learn more. Because I want to see what the hell they're saying on the inside, because so I can make the definitive statement that says what they said on the first page does not match the second.
Yeah, I just see it on the first page and I'm like, screw you guys with your crappy clickbait. And I block, I think I've blocked some major news feeds before for like New York Post clickbait. Like just click. Like I can't stand that stuff. I have such a bullshit filter that I'm too much, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, so what have you ever done that you thought would be hard or easier that was super hard?
A kickflip. I'm just going to say it.
It looks easy on YouTube. I'll tell you.
So easy, and it's really hard. And I can do it. Like I've ridden a skateboard since I was a kid. I don't ride them as much at all anymore, but I've ridden ramps. We've done all kinds of stuff, and I was like, fine. I was okay on it, but I feel really comfortable on it. That's one thing that's way harder than it. It looks so easy, and it's so hard.
Yeah, I couldn't do any of that. I mean, and I played baseball, played athletics. I rode skateboards in the 80s, right, when this was all happening, and I still have none of those skills. I didn't have them then, let alone trying it now. I tried to get on a skateboard about 4 years ago. Mallory brought one home. She said, "Hey, I got this skateboard." I'm like, "Oh, I used to ride a skateboard." And I'm 51 at the time. We'll get on the driveway, and I got a relatively flat driveway. So it's not like degree of difficulty is higher or lower. It's actually higher, apparently. But I got on this thing, and I'm talking within 3 seconds, I might have attempted to break my neck. I mean, if you would have took a video of it, I think she wishes she had one. She would have been viral, in whatever amount of time. Me flipping off this damn skateboard into the concrete. It was bad. It was really bad.
My worst wipeout in the last probably 3 years was on a skateboard. But I got to qualify it. I actually can still ride a skateboard and be really comfortable on it. But this was an electric skateboard. And I may have told this story before, but it's probably been a while, because this was also a very bad example of awful UI design. And I was going 30 kilometers an hour on the skateboard, and the ludicrous button is right under the button, right under my finger here. And when I hit a bump, I squeezed it by accident. And then when I hit the accelerator, there was so much torque. I'm already going 30 kilometers an hour, but it kicked into the 50 kilometer an hour mode. And when it hit the accelerator, that thing shot out like a missile And I watched it while I'm flying through the air at 30 kilometers an hour as my skateboard went flying down the road, and I hit pretty hard. That was not great. So I've covered up that button because now I should be fine. That's my.
All right. So for you Americans that don't know kilometers, I think he was going 78 miles an hour. He was almost Back to the Future where he could go back in time. He was going that fast.
It was probably something like I was going probably somewhere around 18 miles an hour and could have got up to 27 or something. I don't know. I don't know the example. Like, but I'm 50 kilometers an hour is too fast. That's like 30 miles an hour. That's too fast on a freaking skateboard. And I wasn't up to that. That was unintentional to hit that sort of speed, but it wasn't 78 or whatever you said. That was, no, I don't think I'm quite that brave. So, or that's
all right. So I am a huge Back to the Future fan. I have an encyclopedia back there of all kinds of dumb facts. I don't know why. I am addicted. I'm watching a damn documentary about making the film and the people and the involved and what was happening. Why is it that I like that subject, this time travel subject, right? Because it seems easier than it really is.
Yeah, I think that one would be impossible, but that's just my thought.
All right, so let me ask you this then. Do you think that Back to the Future was the perfect movie?
Okay, well, I will say the original, that was an outstanding show. The sequels, not so much. I will say the sequels, not so much, but the original was an outstanding show. But during that time period, how did that compare to Raiders of the Lost Ark and Star Wars? I'm just throwing that out there.
All right. So I think what happened was the protagonist, here's where I think it broke the rules. Luke Skywalker had an arc. You know where he was trying to get. Indiana Jones, you know where he was trying to get. You don't know where Marty McFly was trying to get. There was no arc for his character. Right? You know, what the hell was he trying to do? Right? He just stumbled into a guy that did some stuff, and he's the main character that is just living and not even trying to manipulate or achieve anything. He's just fucking there.
And did he change as a character? Like in his story arc, did he actually
he didn't.
change?
He really didn't.
Change. Yeah.
He didn't change. That's really weird, right? Because most heroes, most protagonists change. He didn't. He was still arrogant. He was still himself all the way. He still made shitty decisions all the way through. I think we're like, you shouldn't have done that. And he would do it.
Yeah, he didn't really evolve as a character. And, frankly, did Indiana Jones evolve as a character? I remember seeing it was on Big Bang Theory one of the shows. One of the characters pointed out that Indiana Jones was actually irrelevant to the show. That everything that happened in the show would have still happened whether he was there or not. Like, I have to really think about that, but I actually think it's true. And he didn't go through any sort of evolution as a character, right? Really either. But it was entertaining, I suppose. But he didn't sort of evolve as a character either, right? So
no, I guess you're right. Still the same.
I don't think we've usually haven't dove into the movies. That's a new BS topic for us.
I don't know how I got there, but I mean that's where we went. So it was your kick flips.
Or yeah, my lack of kick flips, and I'm lucky to break an ankle trying to do that. So
yeah, so that's probably how I got there because you said that I went to skateboard, then I went to hoverboard. I should just stick to Fidel hoppers and we'd be good.
Well, there you go.
All right. So speaking of, let's kind of wrap this up though. Speaking of, what do you think is hard Or what did you think that was hard in the last month that's not? And mine was the AI stuff. It's relatively easy to include AI into your product. It's not hard to validate it. You just have to feel comfortable with it. It's easy to integrate it.
I'm going to flip that on its head a little bit. It's hard to do it right. I think it's really hard to do it right and do it effectively. That's where the hard part comes in. Is it in the right place? Does it solve the right problem? Can you validate it? Does your customer understand can they trust it even if you validated it? And you can see the volatility in AI right now, like this big deep seek or whatever whole thing that popped out of nowhere. Freaked everybody out. And then it's come down to, well, it's like, it is what it is. It's the Shopify's of the world. Like it's not Shopify, but it's like somebody is built on everything else. And of course they're doing it faster. They're doing it easier, but boy, is there a lot of gaps and issues in that. Right. And it's like, what it reminds me of is, does it have any lasting impact? Because they did it comparatively easy, but did they do it right? Did they do it effectively? And when you start hearing about, but all your data is kind of in an open database and there's security issues and all these other things. Oh, geez. Okay. They did something fast, but doing it right is hard.
Yeah. It depends on what you define as right. Right. So and what I mean by that is,
you don't define it. I think your customer does, right?
No, definitely. But we're talking about DeepSeek was the number one app. I don't know if that's downloaded or used, or I don't know. Downloaded. All right. So, I mean,
I think, yeah.
That could be anybody in any given day. Mm-hmm. Think about it, or minute. So, but they downloaded it to try it, and then it immediately had fallacies. It immediately had problems. It immediately, like going, they ask it about anything China and it shuts the whole thing down. You're like, okay, well, I can't trust you in any of that stuff. So what else can I trust you in? So same thing with AI, which is, I mean, if I can't trust you, what do I show or what do I trust? And that's where my whole thing is. It's not hard to do. It's hard to trust.
Yeah. Or like I said, it's hard to do well, because doing well is, it has to be accurate and gain trust, because you might gain trust and it's like you gain trust on bullshit, right? You need it to be accurate. You need it to be verifiable, and you need the trust from the other side. So that's what I'm saying, is that it's sometimes things are technically easy to do, but they're hard to do well.
All right. So do you think that's where, we'll call it Chat GPT has a thumbs up, thumbs down. I like this. I don't like that.
Yeah. I think it's
I mean, how do you validate that? I guess is what I'm saying.
I think it kind of seems to float through the middle like this. Like it's for everyone. It feels like for everything that they do, and you can kind of go, wow, they do that really well. And it was really helpful. And then on the flip side, it's like, well, that was ass. Right. And, but the thing is, like the thing with ChatGPT, like OpenAI, it has cost an incredible fortune because they're the first ones to do it. They're just slightly ahead of everybody else. And then these other companies are going to follow on the coattails. That's not a bad thing. Like it opens up competition, everything, but there's, from a consumer point of view or from a business point of view, you have to, as all of these different, to me, it's like cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is the original, and it seems to be the one that people trust the most. But out of all of these others, there's going to be a whole bunch of losers, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some big winners in there, because some of them are going to do it right and they're going to shoot to the top, and some will become footnotes in history because they were smoke and mirrors and they just didn't offer anything more. But that's all hindsight. Yeah. You make your judgments now, but we'll see how it actually plays out.
Huh. All right. So Think about this though. I mean, they think the biggest cost savings is in data and servers and things like that. How are they doing it so? And I know we're going outside the scope of today, but how are they doing it so efficiently when nobody else can? And I think that's where, I saw an article today where Facebook and everybody else like going, what did they do? Right. And they're trying to reverse engineer everything that DeepSeek
Well, and I think it's like anything else. They've iterated on it. And for something like OpenAI to go to try and do something massively more efficiently, it's a little bit of like, do we keep trying to move the ball forward, or do we stop and rebuild because we've learned so much? I don't believe that the people, like, if you focused all of the engineering talent at OpenAI and said it's all about efficiency, they might be able to come up with that. I don't doubt for a second they would, but that's not their focus, right? They're trying to move forward. Someone following behind, they're starting from scratch, and it's like they're not starting from scratch. They're starting from that furthest point, close to that furthest point, and they're learning from it and they're picking it up. But like, to me, like I'll give an example. Like when NVIDIA dropped, to me, I looked at it and went, oh, that's awfully short-sighted, because they're like, well, they're more efficient. Yeah, but if it's more efficient, there'll probably be 10 times more people using it because it's cheap and it's efficient. It's like every time, and you've seen this, I'm sure, where you're from, because we've sure as hell seen it here in Scottsdale and Phoenix. Every time they widen a freeway, it's just as busy because more people come on. And they've scientifically proven it. It's like they widen the freeway, more people come onto it, and it's just as freaking busy, but it moves more people. That's, I think, what's going to happen is there's going to be more players. It's more efficient. It's cheaper, which means it starts to roll into more and more products and services. Like, we're both experimenting with it, and the entire water level keeps going up, and the entire water level keeps going up. They're still going to need chips to run this stuff. And so these knee-jerk reactions, like, I look at this DeepSeek, it was this big, I would give it a 50-50 chance that 2 months from now, anyone has even heard of it. Like, will they have any relevance? Remember, did you ever see that thing called the Rabbit? I thought it was such a dumb thing. It was a little AI, it was a little box, and you could ask it any question. I'm like, you can do it on your phone. Why would anyone want that? It was the biggest, it was like this big flash in the pan, biggest thing that everyone built. And I don't think I've heard of it now. It was about a month. It was top of everyone's mind. And I thought it was stupid, and now it's gone. Or it seems to be gone. I don't know anything about it. But that's what I think is going to happen is if they're not doing something well, they're going to disappear. I don't care if they're a flash in the pan. You have to have that reason to stick around, because otherwise you're just going to get eaten up.
Yeah, I mean, first mover advantage is a real thing, right? I mean,
oh, absolutely.
That's where OpenAI and all that's a real thing, because you learn a lot of lessons. The people that come second, they can do it faster, but they don't learn the lessons. So there's some things that they missed, right? That's the way I always look at it. There's things that they missed that the first people already caught.
The best late mover on the planet in history is Apple. I don't know if they've ever done anything first. And they will hold and hold and hold. They'll say, we'll do it second, we'll do it fifth, but we will do it right when it's a game changer. And so there's a first mover advantage. There is legitimately doing something a number of levels better. And then there's the ones that just rush garbage to market. And I just don't think there's a whole lot of staying power in any of that. So this DeepSeek, like I said, if I was a betting man, there's no way I would bet on them, because I don't know if they'll be around in 2 months. OpenAI will be. Yeah. I will say I'm pretty much guarantee they will be.
Right on. Hey, last comments. What'd you learn?
Oh, we were all over the place today. There was probably a pretty good dose of BS and mixed in with our business. But I do think it's for everything that's easier than you think it was going to be. There's something that's harder than you think it's going to be. And I would just say, before, as a business person, from a business perspective, do a little homework at the start. and know what you're in for, and make some decisions that way. So if you jump too fast into something, you're just flipping a coin to hope that it's going to be a good move.
Yeah, I would think that, your first gut instinct is usually right, but verify it. It's going to be hard, but get some more information. So anyway, hey, you've been listening to Mike and Blaine. I'm Mike Mylan. That is Blaine Birch, CEO of Dry Run. I run Cashflow Mike. So check us out and come back.
Thanks, everybody. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and please become our next beer sponsor. Hop in, buy us a beer at mikeandblaine.com, and you too can be a sponsor. And if you want, you can even go all the way through the end of the year, like some of our valued diamond level sponsors. That's not a great one. We're going to come up with a better name of that.
I love it though.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.